Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
This is Mar 10, and we are happy to be here. We have a very special guest in the studio today.
I'm glad I'm special.
You are special.
Dr.
Not
Stu.
very few guests bring us food. Would you not agree, Kinga? That's very few.
If he doesn't make fun of me too much, we can have him on possibly monthly.
I don't
He
know.
does like to make fun of you. I have noticed that. But you know.
I have nothing but love and respect for Kinga.
But she is fun to tease.
She gets a little sensitive at times, so we won't go.
All right, we will not go. We'll not cross that line.
No, we'll try to behave ourselves.
Yes.
So, Dr. Stu, you are retired now. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? What kind of doctor?
Well, I was an anesthesiologist by training, and I practiced for a number of years.
How many?
Then,
So you know all the good drugs.
There's some truth to that people went into different fields for different reasons, but I can clearly say that I did not go into anesthesia for the drugs. But these are nice glasses. Thank you.
Sounded good.
I've only broken one glass on the show.
And a toe, and a couple of fingers, carotid, nothing important.
Nothing too serious.
So as I was saying, I was an anesthesiologist for a number of reasons, and I just loved the field. But I actually had a medical problem when
What was it?
It was hydrocephalus, which means fluid on the brain, and I had to sort of stop practicing medicine when I was 40.
Right.
Is that like encephalitis?
No, it's
Okay.
nothing like encephalitis.
So hydrocephalitis.
Encephalitis is an infection of the brain. This was that in the brain there's like lakes of fluid, and my lakes were getting bigger and bigger and crushing the brain on the outside of it.
Got it.
So we don't really want to talk too much about that. But the bottom line is I had to stop practicing, and it gave me an opportunity because when I stopped practicing, I had a surgery to correct it, and I had to see whether I can get back to doing anesthesia. So I did something that I had always wanted to do in my life. I went to culinary school that year.
Oh, really?
So I took a year off and went to culinary school, and
that was here in Scottsdale?
That was here in Phoenix.
Oh, it was
the Art Institute of Phoenix.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I can still remember Chef Watson was like my instructor. This is over 20 years ago.
Sure.
And what he reminded me of is, and he would take a fork or a knife and he'd move it like 13 degrees one way and the other, and he said, "Don't give me this when you can give me this." And really what that meant is, something that I've taken to heart is that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. I don't want to
You
do
were
it.
a perfectionist. I have noticed that.
Yeah, I want to do it well.
In his cooking, he's extreme
And medicine
perfectionist.
was the left side of my brain, and this cooking that I'm doing is the artistic side, the right side. When I was a little kid, I still remember in 6th grade, Mr. Wilmot.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilmot was a very tough guy.
Okay.
And he said to us, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And we'd go around the class, and someone would say, "I want to be a fireman. I want to be a baseball player." I had just studied about Leonardo da Vinci, and I said, "I want to be a Renaissance man." Okay,
You really said that?
I can't paint. Again, I can't paint. I haven't invented anything, but I do have a patent for something that I created when I was working in computers.
But you're really into art. Your whole entire home is very.
I love art.
You have art and
but
sculpture everywhere.
So anyway, so the bottom line is I get to use the left side and the right side of my brain, and I'm not a Renaissance man. Leonardo da Vinci has nothing to worry about. But
Yeah, he's a tough act to follow.
He's okay.
That
Yeah,
guy,
but
yeah.
the bottom line is I'm getting to use the other side of my brain to do the art.
So back to how you had this brain surgery.
So-
Tell us
So after
how you healed from that, and
after a year of doing the culinary, the question was, can I go back to becoming an anesthesiologist? And I had some deficits. I had some short-term memory deficits, and
I have noticed that.
And so,
I can tease you, but you
I
can't tease
was
me.
on time today. She wasn't.
I shouldn't have put
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fun
don't-
at you.
No,
gotta
don't
stop.
poke the bear.
Okay.
So the bottom line is I realized that I had some deficits that were going to probably prevent me from going back to anesthesia.
Sure.
So I actually
you have
went.
to be very precise, I would imagine.
Well, no,
I hope so.
Yeah, but a lot of it was medical legal. I mean, even if I had a bad outcome that I had done everything right for,
Right.
someone would still be pointing their finger at me.
Of course.
So the bottom line is I didn't go back to practice, but what I did is I didn't want to be a chef in a restaurant. Partly because I read Anthony Bourdain's book, and it reminded me that 80% of restaurants fail in 3 years, and you spend every Friday and Saturday nights working crazy hours.
It's a hard job.
So I was very happy to do it for fun. So I actually went to work in informatics.
Okay.
And informatics is computers and healthcare.
Okay.
And I worked for
I didn't know that.
I worked for 15 years doing that. I was a
Really?
CMIO, Chief Medical Information Officer. I helped design software for a company called Cerner that made electronic medical records. I designed an anesthesia record that was electronic. And I did that for a number of years. And then unfortunately in 2014, I sort of got sick again. There was something wrong with the shunt, and I sort of missed most of 2014.
Okay.
I went from this to 135 pounds. I weigh
Wow.
185 now, in case you're
So
wondering.
that's a big
So
drop.
it was a big loss. So anyway,
But why? Why did that happen?
I was having something called boggy brain syndrome, which meant that even though my shunt was working, it wasn't working well enough. So
Can you dumb it down for the listeners that don't know what a shunt is? What is a shunt?
A shunt is a tube that goes into your brain and drains the fluid into your belly so that the fluid gets absorbed, so I wouldn't have the buildup of the fluid in my brain.
Got it.
So anyway, I had another surgery, got well, and I retired at that point. And since then, I've been just honing my cooking skills. And and especially during COVID, I have 2 pizza ovens now. I taught myself sous vide. Sous vide is a technique for cooking the food in a water bath in a plastic bag.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and a lot of restaurants used to do it.
I think Angry Crab does it here locally.
A lot of restaurants did it, and then
Why would you want a sous vide? Why does it make it more tender?
What it does is
more juicy.
No, it's actually I could actually spend a whole show on sous vide. So
Okay.
the bottom line is it's just one of the techniques that you have in cooking
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to do certain things. And the other day I did a whole meal, beef Wellington. You ever see that?
Oh, I
page?
love beef Wellington.
And I had my beef Wellington, and I had my side dishes, and everything was done using sous vide, and then put together. And if I say so myself, it came out pretty darn good. I'll show you pictures after the show.
Okay.
So is sous vide where it's kind of in a bag in water?
You take it and you put it in a vacuum bag, and then you take the bag. Okay, I'll give you the quick reason.
Quick, just give us a quick.
Okay, this is the quick. So if you have a steak and you like it medium rare is a temperature of 135 degrees.
Okay.
So if you throw that on a hot grill or into a very hot oven or whatever, you're going to have a very small window at which you're going to have to pull that steak out, let it rest, and have it come up the residual cooking to your temperature. If you cook it too long, it's going to be well done. And when my friends ask me, when I have a friend who asks me, what do you do when someone asks for a steak well done, I kindly ask them to leave. Or I send them or I serve them a plate with a baseball glove on it.
Right.
One or
Right.
the other. So, but with sous vide, you put the meat that you want, say the filet mignon, you want it at 135 degrees, and you cook it at 135 degrees in the water. It never gets higher. So it'll be perfect all the way through 135 medium rare.
Interesting.
And then all you do at the end is just do like a little sear on the outside to do it, and it comes out.
We have an
Amazingly
audience here.
well.
I just wanted to ask our audience, have you ever cooked anything sous vide? We have a chef in the audience.
Christopher's did it that way at the Biltmore.
Okay.
Always.
But have you?
Because it makes it a lot quicker.
Have
Usually a
you
lot of fat
cooked
steaks.
anything sous vide?
No.
Okay.
But we
No.
So back to you,
a
Dr.
lo-
Stu.
A lot of home chefs are learning how to do sous vide now,
Mhm.
so it is a very useful technique.
We have Richard Betts on the show often, and he's a chef as well, and he has made a few sous vide dishes for me.
Well,
Gotcha.
if you want to do a whole show on just sous vide, I can
Right.
actually bring a. No, it's okay.
What is your favorite thing to make
That's a great question.
and eat?
pizza.
What is my favorite? You know, it's funny. I don't have a single favorite thing to make.
Okay.
Because he likes
You
to
just like
have
it all.
variety.
I just like a whole bunch of different stuff. You know, because I when I was a little kid,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, Mom, for throwing you under the bus, but
She didn't really cook a lot, did she?
my mom was not a great cook. She's a wonderful woman. She's 85 years old right now. She
He
actually
takes really good
calls
care of
me.
her,
She
actually.
calls me up for cooking advice to this day.
Oh,
at
that's
this
fantastic.
point.
It's really cute. He's very good to his mom and his kids.
And so I didn't really have great food growing up, but I had an appetite. I love food.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, I was born in 1960, so I was a product of the 1960s and 70s. When,
Wow, you're that old.
yeah. But I look good for 85.
Yeah, you look great for 85.
But we were the generation that grew up, even though I was in New York and we had plenty of fresh stuff available, we grew up with that convenience of Bird's Eye frozen
Oh
and
yeah,
Del
same
Monte
here.
in a
Yep,
can.
yep.
And so I didn't even eat vegetables as a kid because I couldn't stand them.
Same here.
But as a
My mom must have known your mom.
and it was just the thing because it was a convenience thing
Yeah.
back then. It was a big thing, and they thought they were doing something that was good for the kids.
Mm.
Okay, well, I want to say that I was very blessed to have the best mom and grandma in the whole wide world that really great cooks and really everything was made fresh.
Yeah.
And we always had a different meal, and there's always like every food group at every meal, and I just so lucky to have that background.
You
Am
must
I?
be a lot
So-
younger than me.
A salad.
Yeah, my grandmother was an amazing
appetizer,
cook, but my
Yes.
mom
meal.
hated to cook.
The
It wasn't
dessert.
interested. Still to this
Ice
day,
cream.
said she doesn't like
My
to cook.
grandmother was okay. She had certain dishes that she had, but we always made fun of her at the holidays when she made her matzo balls.
Oh.
Because my dad would always joke about, he was a golfer,
Mhm.
that some of her matzo balls were good, but some of them
He could have used for a line drive.
Exactly.
Well, I do want to say that we want to talk about the art of cooking, but we also want to talk about how healthy it is to have, food that's not from a can, things that don't have preservatives. And I want to, on that note, I want to say that my grandma that did all that cooking is 105. She's thriving. She lives alone, and her brain is sharp, and she, everything about her is like she's 60. So the food connection, Doc, is important. Can you tell
Well,
us
food
about
is
that?
the biggest drug you put in your body.
Exactly.
I think you're 100% right. I think you are what you eat. And I think one of the things that this COVID thing that we just went through is, I don't want to fat shame anyone because that's just not PC. And, well, I'm not very PC either, but that's another story.
And we don't want the show to be bleeped out.
Yeah.
But you're right. A lot of people ate their anxiety over the pandemic. I know. I most of my weight gain was from wine, but that's just me.
But I
Cheers.
think that
Cheers.
I think one of the things that
Kills
that
COVID.
people did is that we have terrible diet in this country. We
for
have
sure.
So I was thinking about this the other day. Do you know what slow food is? You ever hear of slow
I
food?
saw that on there and I wanted to ask about it.
Okay.
You said that we need to
Yes.
have more
Tell
slow
us more
food.
about this.
So
Colin, do you know what slow food is?
It's okay. Everyone here knows
Okay.
what fast food is,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right.
And I tell you, I long for the day when McDonald's used beef lard to cook their French fries in because they were really tasty, but they weren't the healthiest thing for
Yes.
us. Okay, so slow food was actually a reaction in Italy. You know where the Spanish Steps are in Rome?
Yes.
Okay, well, in the 1980s, they built a McDonald's by the Spanish Steps in Italy.
Okay.
And the Italians
Or like
So-
WTF.
Right, exactly. And so they created this movement called slow food.
Okay.
So, and it was just as opposed to fast food. So it was the idea that, you know, you don't rush through your meals, you don't rush through the preparation of your meals, you do things the time-honored way, you use good local products, and you create something that's worthy of going into your body, as opposed to stuff that comes from, you know, the corn and the syrup and whatever else they get out of
Right.
they put into the
Processed.
process. Exactly.
Well, and also slow food. I want to extrapolate from that you would slow down as you're eating and take the
That's-
time and put some music on and have some flowers and you have your nice
Absolutely.
china, which is how we grew up. We always had our fine china, our fine crystal, and
Set the table.
set the table, sterling silver, every single
And
meal.
I will take
And
it a step
dessert.
further because I think it's
Fresh
also
pastries.
about knowing where your food comes from.
Yes.
You know, and I know Kinger is right on the ship about, you know, getting stuff local and buying local.
'Cause it's so
and-
sustainable because we're here
Saving the planet one show at a time. That's right.
and I actually try to eat less at restaurants, and I love restaurants, so I'm going to do a throw out to my favorite. But when I go to restaurants, I want a dining experience,
Right.
and I want stuff that I don't do at home.
Okay.
And it's getting harder because the more that I'm learning and doing at home, the harder it is for me to go into a restaurant. And I've done sushi at home, and I've been to. I don't know if anyone watched the show Jiro Loves Sushi. You know that it's that 3-star Michelin in Japan.
I've heard about it
Tokyo.
from you.
It's in the basement of a train station.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's a 3-star Michelin restaurant.
You went on a trip just to
I
go
took
there.
my daughter there.
Yes. Train station food in Japan is out.
No, this is not train station.
This is a restaurant. You have to have reservations
is
a year
I know.
beforehand,
Yeah, this is
and it's very expensive.
yeah. But the whole point
Like
I'm saying is
$1,000
I've
per
been to
person.
very good sushi, and yet here in town there's a place called Umami,
Oh yeah.
and
Delicious.
they have
I
the
love that place.
best sushi that I've had,
Where is
including those places
In
there.
Japan.
So there's my throw out for
All
Umami.
right.
Although, can I also throw out? I ate last night at Nobu, and for me, that was the best sushi restaurant I've ever eaten.
So
Ever.
Nobu or Unami?
Umami.
Umami.
Umami. You know what umami is?
Oh, that's on 7.
Okay, so you know you've learned when you were in school the 4 tastes:
Okay.
sweet, sour, salt, and bitter.
Yes.
Well, there's a 5th taste called umami.
Oh.
And umami is that taste you get. It's actually what MSG gives you,
Okay.
monosodium glutamate, but it's also that mushroomy, earthy flavor that you get that's very, very appealing.
Okay.
And so that the restaurant is named appropriately because when you eat there, and I'll tell you something, if you want a great experience, go there, sit at the sushi bar, ask any of the sushi chefs and say, you know what omakase is? It's chef's choice. That's,
Okay.
Just sit there and say, I want what Dr. Stu has. And they'll know. Now, I warn you, it's not that inexpensive.
Right.
It's probably less money than Nobu, though. But it is going to be one of the best meals that you've ever had.
Well,
All right.
I ate, I'm not going to say where, at a restaurant, and this really nice waitress said that she used to work at Nobu, and she was let go because Devin Booker, who I have a huge crush on, he's the Suns player. I don't know if you guys know who he is.
Yeah, he
Devin
chokes.
Booker. Anyway, yes. And so Devin Booker apparently eats at Nobu all the time.
Right.
And so she was apparently trying to talk to him.
Oh,
and she
yeah,
got
they don't-
warned. And then the next time when she was talking to him, she got let go. And so I'm like, I'm going to go to Nobu to try to find Devin Booker.
Nice.
To get him on the show.
There you go.
Anyway, Nobu, my favorite. So back to how did you get inspired to want to learn how to cook?
Well, the truth is, I love eating. And I've always loved eating. And then after culinary school, I had gotten some more skill. I mean, growing up, I cooked for my family. As a matter of fact, my kids think I traumatized them a little because I had a little expression in the house, which I'm going to PJ on the phone. On the,
Oh no, you
on
can
the
be R. You can be R.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
you
say
can-
what I
You can
really
be R.
Yes, you can
yes,
say.
Okay.
yes.
So my kids would say, we looked at him. I said, "You know the difference between a restaurant and eating at home?" He said, "No, Dad." I said, "Well, when you're in a restaurant, you get to order whatever's on the menu. And when you're at home, you eat the what the fuck I put on your plate.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Now,
That was
mind
good.
you,
That was
I really wasn't that draconian with them. I always gave them the choices, and I always made stuff that was relatively kid friendly.
Mhm.
And my kids have great palates today because they have been exposed to a lot of different foods. And that's one of the things that I recommend people doing is, eat. Try things that get out of your comfort wagon. Try things.
Yes.
I mean, I have friends. I mean, I will tell you something. I smoke cigars, and I love my cigars, but I don't smoke one cigar. I smoke all different cigars. I have one buddy who smokes the same cigar every single day.
Yeah.
Are you like this with your women too?
That's a personal question. Let's just say that.
Stick with the food, Kinga.
Let's just say that I am loyal to a woman that I'm with,
There we go.
and I
There
would
we go.
not.
That's
This
very
is why
fair.
I would never date Dr. Stu, because he's been very prolific, and so.
Oh, has he now?
Yes, he has. And
All right. Well, we'll do a late night Dr. Stu episode later.
Cheers.
Okay, I'm over that.
Okay.
So, what did you prepare today?
So
for
today-
Oh
us?
yes.
So today
Can we
I
crack
made.
it open? I'm getting hungry.
I made 2 pizzas
Mm-hmm.
and a sandwich. So the pizzas I want to pay homage. I want to also go back a little.
Okay.
So during COVID, I already had a pizza oven, and I sort of decided to bring my pizza game up the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that it's very easy to make pizza,
Yes.
but it's an art to make really
Good pizza. Yes.
So growing up,
In your own crust. You're making your own crust,
I
too.
make my own dough,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 200 pounds of dough in my house of all different varieties and brands. And when I was growing up, I was in New York, and
Oh my goodness.
I had New York cheese pizza, and that
Right.
was to me what it was all about. And then I came out, I lived in Chicago, and had Chicago pizza. And then I was in Phoenix and discovered Chris Bianco pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've had Chris Bianco pizza, that was it. So my first goal was to learn how to make New York pizza, which I did pretty easily. And then learn how to, none for me, I'm full. I don't,
Oh, really?
No, I'm.
Well, look I'm full, but I'm going to eat.
You
Looks
eat,
too good.
You eat. Here's a plate for you.
Thank you. Perfect.
So first I learned how to make New York. I made
Oh my gosh.
Chicago pizza. Now Chris Bianco made a pizza that was my favorite called a Wise Guy.
I love the wise guy, but this is better.
This is the wiser guy. That's
This
what I
is a
call
wiser
it.
guy.
Chris, I love you. The only thing that I added to your recipe is this time instead of using, so what's on this is fennel sausage,
Wow.
fresh mozzarella,
Mm-hmm.
and fresh mozzarella and
Caramelized onions.
well, I do roasted onions. So it's roasted red, and then there's a little drizzle of hot honey at the end.
That's what it is. Ooh.
Okay.
So
Yummy.
and once again, the crust. This is actually
Where did you get the recipe? You
the-
just created it?
yeah, I created it. This I don't believe in recipes, and we'll talk about that in a little.
Oh, okay, that's important.
So that was one pizza made. The other one is called the Stewie Boy, which is my homage to the Sunny Boy, which his pizza was sopressata and olives. So I made that one too.
Oh, I want a piece of that.
Now, and we're talking about you're putting this up against
Wow.
what was voted the best pizza in the United States,
Yeah,
right?
I do not say that it is anywhere.
But
That's
that's
good.
where you're
That's
you're
what I'm going
inspired,
for.
right?
That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going
No,
for.
I think that's the important part.
I'm going to, and I apologize. It's a lot better when it comes right out of the oven.
Can we
and
have
not in
a
a box.
Collins plate?
Very
It
good.
is delicious.
There you go. I'll do this
Martin?
one. Thank you.
So I do
Can you work
pizza
on the
days
glass?
for my friends, and
Thank you.
I've been to your cooking lessons with pizza.
I've done
So-
cooking lessons with pizza, and the key is the flour, the dough. You know, I can make a dough in 2 hours, and you can
Wow.
eat that, and that's fine.
What's on this one again?
But a good dough takes time. So this dough is fermented at room temperature for 4 hours, and then fermented in a cold refrigerator slower for 2 days.
And so you mean fermented? You've added yeast that's eating the sugars and turning them into alcohols.
Absolutely, and
Okay.
creating the bubbles in the pizza, and adding the complexity, just like wine ages, so does the dough.
Right.
And there are actually some techniques that you could do called biga and pulish, which are ideas to try to do that a little quicker. But I have time, so I don't really have to do it. So I always have dough in my refrigerator that's timed out, so I can use it for a couple of days. So when this dough was started 3 days ago, because I
love
knew
it.
that Kinga was gonna do.
Yeah.
And,
We
and,
made
and
pizza
this,
growing up.
and I have
we
about
buy it at the grocery
I have like
store,
five
the dough.
5 or 6 different flours that I buy. Actually, Chris Bianco told me about this place
Wow.
called Central Mill on the West Coast, and that's where this flour comes from.
Wow.
But I've used the Italian flours. You know, a lot of people in these hot fire I have 2 ovens in my backyard. One is gas, and one of them is gas and wood. And
Right.
you can go both. One is made by Uni, and one is made by Ghazni.
I want you to open up Stewie Boy's restaurant. So good.
You just go to his house.
I'm not. I
doesn't
don't think
charge.
I'm going to open a restaurant because, like I said, I enjoy doing it too much. I don't want to ruin it for me.
There you go.
But I do have a friend who said one day he may want to open a restaurant. I said, I'll tell you what I will do for you
Do the rest.
is I'll help you set it up.
Yeah.
I will come up with the recipe for your dough and what's going to be on your different pizzas. There's so many user groups out there with the different pizzas that we sort of share ideas.
But what if you just did frozen pizzas for people to pick up in the
So it's funny you
At the
should
grocery
mention
store.
that. I have a freezer, a stand-up freezer in my garage. And my next door neighbor, who I've loved and I've been with for 25 years, 30 years, excuse me, lived next to him for 30 years, he has the code to get into my garage. And on the top shelf are pizzas that I've cut in half, vacuum sealed them, and stacked them on the shelf. And he knows now how to go and help himself from my garage to
That's so sweet.
to have his pizza. He happens to prefer. He used to love like rosati. He's from Chicago. He used to love rosati, and he used to. Now he prefers my pizza. To maybe it's
Is he
because
the
he doesn't have
bigger
to
guy?
pay for it. What?
Is he that bigger guy and he has that hot blonde wife?
Well, he does
With a
have a
Ferrari?
hot blonde wife, and he's not bigger. He's an athlete from Chicago.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But he's not bigger.
I mean, he's like tall and
No.
If
he's-
it wasn't for pizza, I wouldn't have made it through college. So I
Well, you
really
know what?
appreciate it.
Okay, but see, that's the whole thing. Is I won't even touch Domino's.
Oh God, no.
I won't
oh
touch
gosh.
any of those fast pizza. I mean, the only pizza that I would probably go out to a restaurant to eat right now is probably Bianco's.
Right.
Really?
The only fast food I eat is Flower Child.
Is what?
Flower Child.
That's the.
It's healthy. Flower Child. Other than that, I don't eat any fast food. I love that. Okay, so you
So the
you
whole.
cook for your friends.
So I cook for my friends. I
Spreading
teach
joy.
for my friends. I actually. I used to do a cooking class before COVID for a bunch of my buddies that
I've
come over to the
attended
house. Kinga was there for many of them.
So much fun. It was so
And
been
great.
there too.
she's one of the people who hasn't paid me for my class. Now, you want to know how I got paid for my class? No, it's not what
By
you think.
posting a picture of you.
Okay, so
you
what I asked my
creating the recipe.
is for them to go home and cook for their significant other, take a picture of it and send it to me, and then once they send me the picture, I would have been paid in full.
Nice.
Okay, and then what happens
did.
is when they do that, then they come back for the class, and they become my stew chef instead of
Oh,
the
that's
sous
great.
chef.
Yeah.
I like
And they
it.
get to wear the coat and the toque, and they kind of have fun. They become my assistant for things.
So this
Kinga
is
hasn't
just
done that yet.
something that you love to do. You love. I mean, it's a great way to spend time with friends.
Right.
Exactly.
You're sharing, some knowledge and some
his
fun.
passion.
Your passion.
My dad was a biology teacher. I think I have teacher in me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So this other dish I have is, anyone been to New Orleans before?
I've been, and
yeah.
you mentioned.
Okay, so in New Orleans, a classic dish is called a muffalata. A muffalata is a sandwich with cheese and bread and olive salad, and usually salami and ham. So this is sort of a riff on it. It has the olive salad, but it has prosciutto instead of the ham, and it has Genoa salami instead of the regular salami, and it has
smells amazing.
provolone and some other cheeses on it, and it has an olive salad on it, and you just let the olive salad just soak into the bread, and then you warm the whole thing up to melt the cheese. You tell me what you think. It's
Well, Dr.
very-
Stuart, I came here with
You were full.
where
I know.
I didn't even, but I just took one look, just one lick. That's all it took, just one lick. And I wanted a bite of pizza, and then I wanted a second pizza, and now I'm really stuffed. So, very delicious pizza.
Well, I appreciate it.
You
Like
are
I said,
very talented.
I do this for the accolades. I don't do it for the money.
It's so
Maybe one day
delicious.
I'll do it for money. But
It's so delicious.
yet.
Wow. Well, how do we keep ourselves healthy? What is the balance with food that you suggest?
Well, you know,
being a doctor.
So one of the things that I was saying before, when I put those pizzas in the refrigerator, I'm making like a 12-inch pizza in my ovens. And yes, I can eat that whole 12-inch pizza in a
sitting,
in a
yes.
sitting without problem. I purposely cut it in half, put half of it away, and eat the other half. So my big key is a couple of things: is portion control. And when I cook for myself or for guests, usually, I don't like serving stuff family style. I like plating for a couple reasons. One is I think visually, we like what we see when it's on a plate. It looks better, so it maybe tastes better. But the other reason is that it plays into the whole portion control.
Right.
One of the problems in this country sometimes is that the food that we get is just too much. That was my complaint about a lot of the food in Chicago, which is they put too much on the plate.
Right.
And yet, sometimes people expect that and want that. But you know, here's the good rule. I never grew up with I had to clean my plate.
Oh.
So I'm okay with going to a restaurant and not finishing my dish. And I love leftovers. And you know what my challenge as a chef is? Is taking that leftovers
And doing something with it.
and doing something
Different with it. We
Which is very
love doing
sustainable.
that.
He
It
does-
is very
it's so
sustainable.
sustainable.
So I'll take a leftover and turn it on to put it into a pizza.
Yes.
Which is
It's
so
a great
great.
blank palette
So
for making
great.
another dish.
Yeah, well, and sometimes we'll actually get extra sauces because a lot of times, you know, we go to a restaurant more specifically for the sauce than the actual meal, and so we love doing that. We share a lot of meals, like you
Yeah.
share a lot.
we
like to
always
share a lot of
We
meals.
always share.
And so you're right; it is about portion control. Last time we were in New York, there was really cool. They had this interactive display about just choosing a different plate size. You know, having a big plates versus a medium plate versus a small plate. And if you're trying to lose weight, that choosing a smaller plate will actually help you with portion control, which I just thought was
Well, you know,
fascinating.
the other great thing about portion, putting your food on the plate and planning out it ahead of time is, I'm sure you've done this. You're at a place and the food's right in front of you, and you just take a scoop, and then that's so good. I'm gonna have another scoop.
Right, of course.
Now, mind you, when I plate the food, I still have more in the kitchen. So if anyone really wants more, I'm glad to serve it to them. But you have to take a little time to get the message to your brain that says, you know, you ate enough. And a lot of times we don't do that. We don't take the time to get the message to our brain because we're in a rush. We're in a rush to shovel more food in. We're in the rush to eat it before, you know, the person next to you gets it. So I think that's another reason why I like plating up the food, is to keep my girlish figure the way it is right now.
Absolutely. My experience, you know, when I was younger was you have to finish your plate. It was, you know, more is better. And, you know, I ballooned up to about 250 pounds with that. And then
What do you know?
about 220.
Oh, okay.
And that's
You look good.
Thank you. And that's I'm tall and I carry it well. And
Lots of eating.
but you know, for me, I was 205 going into it, the pandemic. So you know, I gained about 15 pounds of wine weight.
It looks good.
Thank you.
You needed it.
Just so you
needed
know, I've been making this pizza all through the pandemic. 3 pounds I gained.
Nice, nice.
Well, I think the portion control is so important to be healthy.
And I think that was because I wasn't going to the gym.
And you
Right.
being a doctor, your advice is great because I really feel like the obesity problem causes lots of diseases, correct?
Well, even whether it causes it or it makes the symptoms worse.
Right.
The bottom line is it makes them. So I want to touch on something, because we were talking about, people you asked me before what was my favorite thing to make, and one of the things I'm always asked is, well, I don't want to go to culinary school. How can I do some of the stuff without going to culinary? And I said, well, this is like the greatest time in the world to be doing this, because when I was a kid, there was the Galloping Gourmet and Julia Child. That was it. And now these guys on TV are rock stars. You can go on the
Yes.
internet and I mean, I have 100 cookbooks in my house, but you don't need a cookbook. You just have to look something. And I want to talk about recipes.
So you never use a cookbook.
I do use cookbooks. I read cookbooks. I read them like cheap novels. I learn, but the thing about them is that what I'm reading for is not just step by step of what to do. It's what technique they're using. So I'm going to give you an example. The other day I was at my good friend's wedding. It was a small wedding, and it was at El Charo. And I haven't been to
Oh,
El
nice.
Charo in 30 years.
Really? I love El Toro. I got that all the time.
And so El Charo is here in Phoenix, and it's sort of famous for the sticky buns and what else?
They have great omelets. They're brunch.
Okay, for dinner.
They have a really good trout almondine.
Yes.
Oh yes, that
And
is
really
really
good.
good.
I'll
I've
give
had
you a
that.
hint.
Yeah.
There's a beef dish there.
They have a beef Wellington.
No,
Beef stroganoff.
stroganoff.
Yes.
Oh, I
Okay,
know.
so after
Yes.
going there, I didn't get the beef stroganoff the night I was there, but the next day I decided, okay, I'm going to make a beef stroganoff at home. Now, mind you, I didn't go to the store. What really motivated me is I had this tiny little filet mignon in my refrigerator that I hadn't used for something else. And it was just sitting there. And I was making this just for me. So I used the filet and made beef stroganoff. Now, beef stroganoff is really a very simple thing. The sauce is a pan sauce.
Right.
And it uses cream and sour cream and beef stock and garlic, a little Worcestershire, and you just build layers of flavor in a pan, and that's it. So it's very easy to. So you read the recipe, you understand the technique, you take out all your ingredients, you get everything ready. I always, you want to have your onions chopped up fine before you start mixing everything, so you're not thinking, okay, what am I going? Oh, I got to chop the onions. That's part of the mise en place, everything in its place that I learned in culinary school, getting prepared to do everything. And it was really, really easy to make. And then I said, okay, wait a minute. I made it with beef because I had the filet mignon. Well, someone doesn't want beef. They have a piece of chicken. Make it with chicken. Use chicken stock instead of the beef stock. Or you have a piece of pork. Use a piece of pork.
So meaning you're going to use what you have and be more sustainable, which is saving the planet.
Use what you have.
And it
That's
is
saving the planet one meal at a time.
saving the planet one meal at a time. How's the red?
The red is delicious.
Should I try some? Do you have
Yeah.
another glass?
Oh yeah, we've got a glass.
Oh, perfect. And then Colin needs a glass too, because that's Colin needs.
Get the young kid drunk. Come on, he's working. He's going to be a
Working real hard.
When I was in medical school, we learned there's certain things you could do so you could live longer. One is if you smoke cigarettes to quit smoking, and the other one is if you didn't drink to start drinking just a little.
They said
Yeah.
you should start smoking.
Stop smoking
And drink a little.
and drink a little.
Yeah.
That's what we.
One,
I don't know if it's
one
true or not.
glass of red wine. So I got the amazing opportunity to meet this. I guess, for lack of a better word, is a longevist. He was a doctor that works out of Santa Fe, and he was in his 80s and looked like he was in his 40s.
Wow.
And he was an expert on how to live a better life. So he would take people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they would go into his clinic in wheelchairs or walkers, and they would walk out carrying them. And he talked a lot about he had a handful of nuts every day. He had a glass, just one glass of red wine with dinner every single day. He had these certain things that they had found over time that just really had a huge impact on our bodies. And so I've been overdoing it a little bit, but I've been trying to follow the advice.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I think that, cooking for yourself or being cooked for rather than going to a store and using less things that are processed. And once again, go back to the slow food rather than the fast food. I don't think I've had fast food in 10 years.
Yeah,
easily.
that's amazing. Well, I'll tell you, I know you don't care for recipes, but I will say that my wife and I have and I know you study recipes, but I think we've had a similar experience, similar but different, is we started getting some meal kits and that come with recipes, and we have learned so much about cooking that now when we cook ourselves, we have so much more to draw from, and we're able to do a lot more what you're talking about.
What I was going to say, that's like one of the tools that are out there. Those meal kits give you step by step and do all the prep work for you.
Yes.
So your next step is to do the same thing without the meal kit.
Yes.
And you're cooking.
And it works.
Now, I maybe I misrepresented. It's not that I don't use recipes. I don't believe in recipes. I believe that recipes are good guidelines.
Yes.
With the exception of when you're baking, and you have to be very precise and measure.
It's crazy how precise you have
Well,
to be at baking.
baking. Well, they're both chemistry, but baking is like an exact science.
Right.
And when I make my pizza dough, I weigh my ingredients by to the gram, to the tenth of the
See,
gram.
that's why my grandmother's pies were hit or miss, because she was not that perfectionist. She would throw, like, her recipes were 2 handfuls of flour. She didn't measure anything, and then she would be so upset when one of her pies didn't turn out.
And to be honest with you, with my doughs, it's not so much that I'm worried about the bad dough; it's making it repeatable.
Right.
And learning from each time I make a new dough what I like and what I want, because the ovens that I have that can cook up 900 degrees. That's for a Neapolitan style. I don't like the Neapolitan style. I mean, I made it, and the Neapolitan style is that big crust in the end where it has a lot of air in it, and it's a little crunchy. The middle is all floppy. That's what they do in Napoli. But I'm more of the Chris Bianco or the Wolfgang Puck style, where I wanted a little more crisp.
That's what I like. I like the
it.
crisp.
I like the crisp.
It's because of the New
This
York.
crust is so
It's
good.
from the New York.
Yeah, and I'm from Illinois, so that makes a lot of sense.
So
And
tell
I've
us
made-
about cooking around the world. I see this on this outline here, that we can learn things from going places around the
The
world.
bottom line is the more you try from different things, your palate, you'll have different things, and you'll be able to pull in. Like the other day, I think I was somewhere where I had really good mussels.
Right.
I love mussels, and I've made them many times at home with wine and stuff. But this time I had it, and they had it with a red curry
Right. Ooh.
with the wine, and it was absolutely.
I
So
love that.
it made me say, okay, I have red curry paste
I'm
in my
gonna try it.
refrigerator. So the next time I pick up mussels,
Right.
we're going to try it. So it's more
Love it.
about expanding your culinary horizons by trying different
Well,
things.
my brother was the pickiest eater growing up. It's shocking that he survived, because I mean I think he survived on like Oreos and pot pies. Like that's all he would eat. And but when he got older, he took a trip to Italy when he was younger. Well, probably in his 20s, and he came back and said, "Man, if I was born in Italy, I would weigh 500 pounds." He loved every single thing that he tried.
Yeah, well,
So how did he turn out? Just eating pot pies and Oreos?
He turned out to be a very smart, amazing human being.
Well, my sister was very finicky when she was a little kid too, and like a hot dog had to be peeled, and she would only eat the yellow part of an egg.
Why do you think
Oh,
that happens?
wow.
Is it a learned
And
thing?
then she evolved.
But how does it happen? Is it because they
I
get
don't
spoiled?
know. I don't.
Is it because the parent
has-
doesn't say, "Oh, you're eating this no matter what"? Like you
No,
did.
no. I didn't do that with my kids.
I didn't
force
do it.
Our parents made us
I
eat
made
everything
good-
on the
They
plate,
did.
or we had to sit there till we were done.
Oh,
I
see,
made them good choices. I made them good choices. And look, I
Sometimes
once
we
made
sat there a long time.
something with a little too much spice, and the kids were making fun of me that I tried to kill them.
right. Well, and
I
like
got
my
carried
kids,
away.
for my kids, I said you at least have to try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it, but
Right.
you at least have to try it.
Exactly.
And you
their
drive them that
palates,
they can't have their fruit, their dessert, unless they eat some of the food.
yeah, a little bit, but
Yeah.
they
They
got
have
to
to
where
try.
they like to try new things,
Right.
and they would over the years because they discovered that their palates changed. Like my son JJ, he hated tomatoes growing up. He wouldn't eat them. He wouldn't put you couldn't put it anywhere near even like a hamburger. He wouldn't eat it if it had tomato juice on it. Now he lives in California where they have amazing tomatoes, and he'll walk by the garden and pull a tomato and eat it like an apple. And just because
Isn't it interesting?
his palate
Is
has
he married?
expanded.
And I
Is he
tell
married?
people all the time that
Does his wife do the
always
tomatoes?
be retrying stuff. There's a dish that I never cared for,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of my mom's favorite. It's cream spinach.
I love that.
We love
Okay,
it.
I
so,
love cream
so
spinach.
I didn't like cream spinach. I've tried many different versions of it.
Yep.
The closest thing to one that I could say that I like was actually at Capitol Grill. They have one that's
I was gonna say the
That's
exact
pretty
same
good.
thing.
and
So good.
so here's the funny part of it is that if you try something over time, you may get to the point where you know what, your palate changed.
You acquire
When
a
I
taste.
was a kid, there were a lot of things that I didn't like that now I absolutely love. Olives, I didn't care for at all.
Wow, I
That's
love
not
olives.
Brussels
kid
sprouts.
thing.
I
Olives is not
hated
for
Brussels
kids.
My
sprouts growing
kids
up.
grew up on
I
Brussels. They
love them
loved
now.
my Brussels sprouts.
Love them, and
But
there's
I
so
never-
many ways that you can cook them. Like my mom boiled the crap out of them, and they were just
I deep
boring
fry
and
'em
gross.
And make a gastrique that I drizzle
see,
on top.
I just roast them on
What's
the
a
grill.
gastrique?
I don't know.
I wanted to see if she was paying attention. She came to one of my cooking classes and
Oh.
and she learned what a gastrique was.
And-
Gastrique is just a French word for sweet and sour.
Okay.
So
Wait,
it's,
which class was that? Was that the omelet one?
no,
No.
it wasn't the omelet. Don't
There's
worry.
no sweet
Wasn't
and
the
sour
pizza
on
one?
it.
Don't
Which
let
one
the
was that
details
one?
get
It was
in
the
way.
last one.
It was the Brussels sprout one.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I was there for that. I was there. What?
She might have been drinking.
Okay, hold on.
I'm just saying, might.
He opens up the
I'm
big
not
one.
judging.
so
I'm not
I-
judging. I'm not judging.
Yes, you are.
Oh, now he's sugarcoating it.
Don't you remember from so
Well,
long ago?
I think what's so important that I want people to get from this show is Dr. Stu, Chef Dr. Stu, is really spreading love with your food. The
Well, and
art of
following your
food.
passion, right?
You know
Yes.
what? Like I said, I'm getting to use the other side of my brain from the analytical side. And I will tell my friends all the time, I'm not really cooking for them. I'm cooking for me because I like the accolades that I get
So
and
good.
Yeah.
Excellent
from
food.
them. I mean, I have friends, sorry, Chris, that tell me that my pizza is as good as Chris Bianco's.
It is.
And I don't think it is.
No, it
No,
definitely
I
is.
don't think it is.
No, of
But
course
it's
you think
good.
it is. It is. You know it is. Well, and so you're spreading that joy, you're spreading that love. What's on your bucket list for what you want to learn to cook and where you want to
Oh yeah,
travel
what's
to?
next?
Yes, what's
For
next? Like,
Dr.
what's for
Well,
Dr.
plan.
Stu?
One of
Dr.
these-
Stu Chef.
Dr. Stu Chef, yeah. So one of these days I am gonna go. Well, I want to learn more stuff. I just.
What? What are you interested
So
in?
I want to go. I want to go to Tuscany. There's
Okay.
there's a trip there called
Same here.
Tuscany that I want to do at some point in my life, where you learn how to do. It's where Moderna is, and probably the most famous restaurant in the world is in Moderna. The number one restaurant in the world.
What is it called?
I don't even know his, and I can even. The bottom line is, I just want to keep on learning.
Right.
Well,
I
that's so
just
good
wanna
for the brain.
Keep on learning. Right, it's good for the brain.
And as you're
and it's-
retired, this is like an amazing way for you to spread your passion and bring joy to others and spread the love and learn. Learning, isn't that how important is that as we
It
age?
Well,
stimulates.
How important is that?
It's exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise for muscles, exercise for the brain.
Love
My brain is probably a muscle anyway.
So is there a bucket list of places you want to go to? Like name like
Say
5
Tuscany.
countries.
What
I
are some
want to go
other
to
food-
Tuscany,
Okay.
and I want to go. I want to go back to France, but that's mostly for wine. I want to go to some of the places
What
in
part of
Indonesia.
France? What part in France?
I'm sorry.
Where in France?
Provence? Where in France?
Well, I've been to Provence. I want to go. Well, I just want to go. I just want to spend some time.
A
Right.
lot of
Just
time.
relaxing
experiencing.
and trying
Yeah.
different things. I want to go to Bordeaux. I want to go to
Oh yeah,
Burgundy.
Bordeaux.
I used to. I mean, I love Bordeaux wines, but I also have gotten to the point where Pinot Noir is now my favorite grape,
Oh.
and it's probably the most finicky grape. and probably a little more food friendly than Bordeaux is.
Right, I would agree.
Why? Why is it?
Well, because Bordeaux is a little bigger and more tannins and probably holds up more to like meats. Pinot, you could do with meat, you could do it with chicken, you could do it with fish.
More versatile.
But the thing is, in Burgundy, the plots of land are so small, and one across the street from the other could be like, that's $1,000 bottle of wine, and that's that's a $300 bottle of wine, and they're just across the street from each other.
And people don't know this, but Dr. Stu has a beautiful wine cellar with so much wines from all over the world. And what's so nice is every time I come over there, he'll pick something really nice to open, which is very sweet.
Well, yeah,
Very nice.
That's why we try to keep King his time.
And then I can't remember what you taught me because I had all the wine.
I got a great app for that.
Right. So, have you tried California Pinots? Like, I really like the Russian River because I feel
I've had
that's
California Pinots, and I've had Oregon Pinots, and I've had Burgundy Pinots, and I love them all.
Where's this from? I love it.
That's a Chianti.
This is a very nice
That's
Chianti.
from Italy.
Mhm.
I just thought
where
it
did
would
you
go
get it?
well with the pizza.
and it
Really
did.
good.
Chianti.
I love it.
Chianti, Classico,
Mm.
I
Reserve.
love it. And so, after France, you said another place.
I want to go to more time, and I did go to China,
Okay.
and I love China. I went to China with the chef that ran the culinary school that I went to. Took us right after we graduated on a trip to China, and it was food. We went to a couple of food schools, and so it was very food focused.
Can you elaborate more on that? That sounds so
there
exciting.
are certain cuisines in the world: the French, the Italian, the Chinese.
Even the Japanese. I mean, you said you
Japanese,
went to the.
I mean
The Hungarian, the Polish.
and
the Irish.
and these, but a lot of them, it's like I said before, it's all about learning technique, and once you learn a technique, you can use it for a lot of different things. And then we talked about, a lot of people will take a recipe, read the recipe, go shop for what's on the ingredient list, and then they'll determine what they need to buy at the store, and then they'll make the recipe. And I did that many times. But I'm going to give you another thought. We have a great farmers markets here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, they're the best. I love
it.
On
Yes.
Saturdays
Which one do you like?
especially. Go to a farmers market near you. Look what's in season, what's fresh, what's
Yes.
sustainable,
What's
Yes.
local.
It's
One
so
show at a
good.
time.
That's
Saving the
right.
planet.
One show at a time.
Okay, can you say the whole thing? Saving the planet.
Saving
All right.
the planet,
One show at a time. All right, we
How
have to
much
wrap
time do
this
we
up.
have?
Not very much.
Oh, we have 2 minutes.
All right,
So go to the farmers market.
right.
Okay.
Buy what looks good, then go home and read some recipes by searching what you could do with those ingredients
Ooh, I
that
like
you
that.
have, and cook backwards
Love
with
it.
what you have. And
That's
if you have
so
to leave
sustainable.
something out, that's fine.
I love it.
All right, people can find you on YouTube, Dr. Stu Chef. You said you were starting a YouTube.
they're very, very early stage.
All right.
What's your
Things are
Facebook?
getting
What's your
there.
Facebook?
My Facebook is Stu Cohen,
All
or
right.
I think I have an Instagram at Dr. Stu Cohen,
All right.
and I have some videos up there, and I'm really just.
And we'll be posting this video very soon.
That's right.
And we're going to blast it out there. And Dr. Stu, you really inspire all of the world
To
to
cook.
and to find the love
follow
and
your
art of
passion.
cooking. Yes.
Don't remember don't forget inthegreenroom.green.
Don't remember.
Don't remember. Don't everybody forget this. Inthegreenroom.green. We thank you guys for listening and have a wonderful rest
And
of your evening.
yesismorefun.com.
And, yeah, that too. Don't forget that.
YouTube.
And we have a new YouTube for In the Green Room. Check that one out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, please. And we've got inthegreenroom.green on Instagram, Facebook. We're on 15 podcast channels. We're on the Starwood networks. Anyway, go out there and spread the love of art of cooking with Dr. Stu.
And make food.
Yes.
Thanks for
We're out.
Good job, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir.
That was so good.